Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today, I'm bringing you a weird, interesting, but honestly, at the end of it, kind of sad story about a ridiculously rare, ridiculously valuable Pokemon card that's just disappeared after being sent in the mail. Now, right at the beginning of the video, I do want to point out that this was a story broken by SM Pratt over on YouTube. And I'm going to go through a whole bunch of stuff in this video. I'm going to take you through the card, what it is, give you the history, all the usual stuff. But it was broken by that lovely chap, so please do make sure you go give his video a click. I will pop a link to it in the description. And the other most important thing about this video, right at the beginning, if there is anything that you can do to try and get this card back home, please do. If you hear a rumor, if you see something on an online forum, if you hear some whispers, get in touch with that chap. Or if you want, you can get in touch with me and I'll get in touch with him. It doesn't really matter. But if there's anything you hear or you know that could get this card back to its owner, please do let myself or SM Pratt know. Let's do this, ladies and gentlemen. I want to do a follow-up video after this gets returned to its owner. So the card then, what actually is it? Well, it is the Super Secret Battle third place trophy card from tournaments in Japan 20 years ago in 1999. It was listed on eBay for $85,000 and it was eventually sold for $60,000. So on the one hand, yes, it is a little bit less than it was listed for, but on the other hand, $60,000 is more than the average yearly wage in the USA. According to a quick Google search, the annual median income as of 2016 was about $31,000, so you're basically looking at double the annual US salary for a Pokemon card. So this is a really rare card, but please also bear in mind that this is like a genuine proper crime or negligence. Either somebody really messed up or somebody stole this card. But let's take a step back and look at the card itself. Now, for a little bit of context here, the first Pokemon World Championships were held in 2002 over in Seattle, but they were run by Wizards of the Coast before the Pokemon Company took the running of the game over. Really, as far as the vast majority of people are concerned, the first real World Championships were held in 2004 in Orlando, Florida, where the, at this point, pretty much legendary Yamato went and won with the, let's say, slightly unexpected Team Magma's Groudon deck. So we're talking really here about a prize card which is 5 years before the World Championships. Now, this card has essentially become just the third place Worlds card. When you get third place at Worlds, you get a number 3 trainer card. And this really was an early version of that card. You can still get a number 3 trainer card. Now, to be fair, you have to go and get third place at Worlds. It's not exactly an easy thing to get hold of, but it is still a card that is out there. It is a card that you can get. But it doesn't look like this anymore. It's generally got Pikachu and a trophy and all of that. So the very first one of these that were given out were at a Japanese tournament in 1997 and did feature a Pikachu and a trophy and were drawn by the lovely Mitsuhiro Arita. Pretty gosh darn good. It then came around back in 1999 when the tournaments in Japan were actually split into 2. Participants in elementary school, according to Bulbapedia, were eligible for entry into the Tropical Mega Battle tournaments that gave you this Executor card, drawn by Ken Sugimori and Hiromi Ito, but the Super Secret Battle, which was people from 3rd grade through to high school grade, could win the Mewtwo card with the event logo and artwork by Hideki Kazama. So, and then like I've said, this card kept evolving throughout the years and has now turned into something, let's say, rather different. Bit shinier, bit fancier. But this is essentially the second or third print of it, depending on whether you're counting the Executor print as different or the same. I'm counting it essentially as the second print of it. Okay, so it's pretty gosh darn rare. The other thing you'll notice is that it is a PSA grade 10. Now, for the uninitiated, PSA is a grading service, which means that you send your cards to them, and they give it a mark from 1 to 10, although decimal points can be given, judging its overall quality, what kind of condition it's in, with a 10.0 being the highest grade available. So we see here that this is a PSA grade 10, which means it's not only some super rare card, but it is an extremely high grade, extremely high quality version of it. It is gem mint, which means it is essentially flawless. That's why it's so gosh darned expensive. So what actually happened? Well, SM Pratt in his video did explain that he is friends with both the buyer and the seller. He knows them both well. And it definitely got sent. And it definitely did not get received. So basically, there are only two possible explanations here. Either the US Postal Service or some connected company lost it, or it was stolen. Now, it was insured for $50,000. You might say, hang on a second, why is that less than 60? Because $50,000 is the most you can insure an item for when sending it through the post. So it was insured for the maximum. But here's the thing. When it's insured for that kind of money, the value, or at least some approximation thereof, I'm not an expert on the US Postal Service, is put on the front of the package. So a male person delivering this would know that it is a ridiculously valuable card. I am not saying it was stolen. I am not saying that it was lost by somebody negligent who was carrying it. But I am saying that if it was definitely sent and it was definitely not received, the only two possible scenarios are it got lost, which is negligent. For anyone wondering, I do teach law, so I can give you a good definition here. Negligence is failing to act as the reasonable person. In this case, it would be failing to act as the reasonable mail carrier. And I think we can all agree that losing an item that's insured for $50,000 is not acting as the reasonable mail carrier. So when I say negligence, I don't say it as an insult, I say it as a technical legal definition. Now, I have seen some people suggesting, well, hang on a second, why didn't they just fly it out? Why didn't they just get on a plane and hand deliver it? Well, firstly, they shouldn't have to. Secondly, okay, it's not that expensive compared to a $60,000 card, but it's still quite expensive. It was in a different country, and it takes a huge amount of time. And thirdly, there are all kinds of laws for the value of goods that you're allowed to take across borders. You shouldn't be having to mess around with that, and I don't think that's necessarily a realistic expectation. There are laws about the value of goods you can take across borders into other countries. Now, here's the thing. This card is not going to be sold. This card can't be sold, and there are multiple reasons why. It is a PSA graded card, which means it has a serial number. And pretty much everyone at this stage in the Pokemon community either does or will know that this has been lost or stolen. So you cannot possibly sell this with the PSA number on it. Let's say, for argument's sake, you cracked it open. You got rid of the PSA case and just tried to sell it as a loose card. You'd lose a lot of the value, but at this stage, anyone who is into Pokemon enough and has enough money to buy this card is a member of the, well, let's call it the high-value collecting community, and they're all looking out for this at this stage. They're all friends. They all know each other. They all know about this story by now. Okay, so maybe you sell it loose, and maybe you kind of get away with it, except you're not going to find some random average run-of-the-mill Pokemon fan who's going to want to pay tens of thousands of dollars for this. I'm sure you could sell it to some random Pokemon enthusiast for a couple $100, but is that really worth it? Also worth bearing in mind, the nature of holofoil is you cannot exactly copy a holofoil pattern. It just doesn't work that way. And there are pictures of this card out there. I've had it on the screen for like the whole video, so you can see the holofoil pattern. So people aren't getting away with this. It's just not going to be sold. And of course, no, you cannot crack it open, send it back to PSA to get it regraded. Again, people in the collecting community would know if that happened, and they would get caught super, super easily. So what happens next? Well, the buyer of the card has started an investigation, and they have brought legal action, and they have put up a $1,000 bounty. If you can provide information that leads to the return of the card, you get a free $1,000. I have seen on forums there are other people who are adding to this bounty up to an extra kind of free $1,000. So the bounty might go up to $4,000 at this stage. And the buyer has been quite clear, he just wants the card back. They have no interest in bringing legal action, but they've paid $60,000 for a card, they want it back. In his video, SM Pratt did talk about previous incidences where they could have gone after punitive damages. Punitive damages, from a legal sense, are damages above and beyond what you've lost. So the general rule of compensation is that it puts you in the position you would have been in had the wrong not occurred, i.e. you get the card back and any money you spent trying to recover it. Punitive damages are, you've been really naughty, we want more money than this. But they didn't go after punitive damages, they just wanted the card back. And here's the thing, this is like a proper job crime. Now, this happened in the US, so it really is US law we're worried about, but by the same token, we could look at UK law. Stealing post is a crime in most countries, including the USA and the UK. Plus, this is just full-on theft. And the thing is, when you steal, the length of your sentence and the severity of the crime is determined partly by the value of the item that you stole. $60,000 is not an insignificant amount of money. So it is a sad story, and I hate the fact that this happens in the world. The one silver lining is it gave us a chance to talk about a really cool card, and honestly, this should have a resolution. Unless the person just sticks it in a shoebox and hides it away and never tells anyone, which would make it the world's most pointless theft, sooner or later someone's going to catch wind of what happened to this. I think it will be returned, and like I said at the beginning of the video, if you have any information or if you hear anything, get in touch with SM Pratt. Like I've said, I've linked his video in the description, and so if you click on that, you'll be able to get in touch with him through his YouTube channel. An interesting story, one that several people got in touch with me and said, Wassy, when's the video about this? And for anyone that's asked, and there were a few of you, here's a video on this. I just hope this card comes back pretty gosh darn quickly. So I'd like to know what you think about this. Tell me your reactions to this story, tell me what you think about the card, go nuts in the comment section, but please be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at @TheWassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do that. And please do make sure you're checking out youtube.com/WassyPlays, where we talk about a whole bunch of games that don't even have Pokemon in. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.